here to now perform the cardiovascular system assessment, and we are going to assess the central vessel assessment. Okay, so as we are coming to the patient, so we are going to greet the patient that hi, I am Akriti and I'm going to be performing your cardiac assessment today. So I'll be asking about the reports related to the any history which is related to heart, like whether you have whether you have having any hypertension, no, or diabetes, or any heart related pain you feel. No. So if there is any history of atherosclerosis or any plaque or any already myocardial infarction has happened to the patient or not, or whether what is the level of cholesterol in the patient's body. Okay, so that things we have to ask to the patient so that we can know a little bit introduction, or we should be having some idea that what is the extent of the heart of the patient. Okay, and all the blood test and everything is related to done with the cardiovascular system that we have to go to check for. Okay, now we are going to explain the patient that why we are going to do this assessment, so that we can have a thorough knowledge about the heart. Okay, so number first I need to tell you about the position of the patient, that we can have the assessment of the patient while the patient is can you show here, while the patient is in the supine position. Okay, so while the patient is in the supine position, or while the patient is in the head elevated up to 15 to 45 degrees. Okay, we can make this position of the patient so that we can expose the chest area, so that we can do the assessment of the heart. Okay, so we can make this patient, and we can make the patient in the sitting position, or we can make the patient little bit tilted forward, so that we can have the assessment of the heart. Okay, so these three positions we can give to the patient. Okay, then now what we are going to do, we are going to inspect the patient's chest region. Okay, so we can see in the chest region we have to look for the you can see precordium region. As you should all know what is precordium, that is the area which is covered in the thorax region for the heart. Okay, it's not precardium, I'm repeating, it's precordium. That means the area where the heart is located in the chest region. So this region is known as precordium. Okay, so we are going to assess the patient's chest region for any kind of pulsation. So as you all know what kind of pulsation we are having in the heart, that is your mostly apical pulse. Okay, so we are going to inspect the apical pulse. In some patients, or there may be the pulsation can be felt and you can see, or there may be the cases where you will not be able to feel the pulses. Okay, so in what cases you can see the pulses? In the children or in the thinner patients. That means those persons who are very thin, or those who are children. So in that we can feel the pulsation by eyes also. We can see the pulsation. Okay, but mostly in the obese person, or in the persons who are having thickened a heart a wall. So in that condition we cannot see that. Okay, so now what we are going to do, we are going to palpate the apical region of the patient. So how we can palpate that area? So we have to reach first the angle of Lurie, as I told you. That is the prominence which is present in the sternum. So you can see, can you show it nearby? So this is the angle a prominence you can see. Okay, so we have to go little bit down from this, and this will be our first rib, then this is the second rib. So the second intercostal space we have to reach. Okay, so second intercostal space, third intercostal space, fourth intercostal space, fifth intercostal space, and next one is the sixth, but we have to reach the fifth intercostal space. Okay, so in the fifth intercostal space, little bit down we have to come. Okay, so here we will be able to feel the apical pulse. For the apical pulse, there are few important points which you have to remember, that whenever you are palpating, you are never going to use 2-3 fingers. You're always going to use the single finger pad of the, a finger of one finger. Okay, that means the pad of the finger. So you're going to use one finger pad and you're going to palpate it. Okay, so, and also one more important point you have to remember, you have to ask the patient to exhale and hold. That means, can you show it here? Now I'm not breathing. That means after exhaling, I need to hold for some time. So without any breathing sound or something, or any abnormal noises from outside which is coming, I have to listen it very clearly. So apical sound, it's you can say generally it is louder, but we cannot hear it that much louder that you will be able to know about it everything. Okay, so that's why I told you that you have to clear out all the noises around, and then you're going to feel it with the a finger pad of the staff. Okay, so here you are going to palpate. So what I told you, you're going to say the patient to exhale and stop, and then you are going to palpate it one pad of the like a finger and palpate it like this. Okay, so in this, what important point you have to remember, that you have to know about the size. So you have to remember that what is the normal size where the apical pulse will be there, that is the 1 to 2 centimeters. Within 1 to 2 centimeters in the fifth intercostal space. Okay, as I told you, you have to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th. Okay, so in the fifth intercostal space, you are having like a, what to say, your apical pulse where you are going to feel. Okay, and it should be between 1 to approximately 1 to 2 centimeters. You will be able to feel the apical pulse in the fifth intercostal space. Okay, and if the size is little bit increasing, that means if you are able to feel it like approximately within 3 to 4 centimeters, so that means your heart is enlarged. Enlargement of the heart has happened. That's why you are able to see the size of the apical pulses increased. Okay, then you should note about the duration. The normal duration of the apicals will be very short. That means little ejection or little sound you will be able to hear, and that should be short. But if you are able to feel the apical pulse duration for longer time, so that means again the patient is having the heart failure for the person. Okay, so the apical pulse should be short in duration. It should be within 1 to 2 centimeters. It should be in the fifth intercostal space. Okay, so that's how you are going to locate the apical pulse, right? So if there is some abnormalities related to apical pulse, what you have to think? You have to think for the heart enlargement. Okay, so the heart is enlarged. That's why when the apical pulse is felt in the fifth intercostal space, it can go down, it can go laterally also. Okay, that means generally what is your apical point? That is your pulse of maximal, intensity, that where your heart is ending. So where your heart is ending, that is your left ventricle. Okay, so once your left ventricle is having extreme work to perform, so due to that excessive pressure on your left heart, there will be hypertrophy. So due to that hypertrophy, your heart will be enlarged. So due to that thing, you will be able to know that apical pulse is increased, or the duration is increased, or the distance is increased in that apical pulse. Okay, so that's how you are going to palpate the apical pulse. And again, you have to listen it approximately for 1 minute, and you have to know that whether it is 2+, whether it is thrushing sound or not, or whether it is very weak. Okay, so this apical pulse is of very importance, because this is going to tell you about the normal condition of the heart system of the patient. Okay, so once you have palpated your apical pulse, so now we are going to percuss the heart. Yes, you heard me right. This is the percussion of the heart. Okay, so what you're going to do, I'm going to go that side. Okay. So what I need to perform here now, I need to perform the percussion of the heart. Okay, so what I'm trying to do here, again I'm going to reach the fifth intercostal space. Okay, extreme you can say right side of the patient, I need to, sorry, this is right, and this is left side. I'm going to go the extreme left side of the patient, and I'm going to keep this finger here. Okay, so I'm going to keep my full hand, and as all of you know that you all know that we have to do the percussion like this. We have to keep one hand, and we have to use the middle finger so that I can tap on it. Okay, so in this, first I need to explain you that from here to the left sternum border, that means from this side to the left sternal border I'm coming while percussing. Why? Because this sternum we can feel. But if you're saying that ma'am, where is the right sternal angle? So mostly when right sternal angle we are going, so heart is covered within the sternum. So we cannot feel any right heart. Okay, we cannot percuss the right side of the heart, but only we are going to percuss the left side of the heart. Why? Because it is uncovered, but here the bony prominence is covering the right heart. Okay, so that's why I'm starting from this area, and I'm going to percuss the heart like this, and I'm going to reach the left sternum of the heart. You see that? Again I'm going to reach. So from the left side I'm going to percuss the heart like this. In the middle finger I need to percuss like this. Okay, so what I'm trying to say here, that when I'm going to percuss this area, so what is this? This is normally the lower lobe also, like your left lung lobe also. Okay, so when I'm coming from this area to this area, what is happening? You are going to transfer from the you can say resonance area to the dull area, because as I told you in the previous lecture also, dull means where your heart is. So you have to shift the percussion from the resonance area, that means from the lung area where the air is. So from the air area you are coming to the fluid area. So that you have to check for the, like you can say, resonance area to the dull area. You have to compare how it is like feeling, whether it is resonance or whether it is dull or not. Okay, so that's how you are going to percuss. And very important regarding the percussion, I told you that you are not going to have the right side of the heart percussed. Why? Because the right side of the heart, like right atrium, that is being covered by the sternum. Okay, so you cannot tap on that. You can tap only on the unexposed region. Okay, so that's about the, you can say, percussion of the heart. Okay, so with that you will be able to know that whether there is the fluid present in the, like you can say, lung area also, or whether there is the very, what to say, lesser like amount of blood present in the, like you can say, left side of the heart also. So with that we will be able to compare the resonance to the dullness. Okay, so that's how we are going to do the percussion. So here we are with the very important topic of the cardiovascular system, that is the auscultation. So as you all know, auscultation means everything related to the heart. So again, now you are going to assess first the location where you are going to keep the stethoscope of your, like you can say, where you are going to keep the stethoscope, so that you can hear the normal and abnormal sounds of the heart. Okay, so here you can show that this is the angle of Louis, as I told you, between the two clavicles when the manubrium and the sternum of the bone is attached. So that is known as your angle of Louis. So from just down angle of Louis, you are going to reach to your second intercostal space in this area. Okay, so if this is your first rib, this is your second rib. So here you are going to have your second intercostal space. Okay, so what you are going to do in the in the right side of the right side of the intercostal space, what you are having the aortic valve. Okay, so what I told you, aortic valve. Okay, so just see here that what I told you, this is the bony prominence and you are having the second intercostal space here. So this is your, like you can say, in the right side you are having the aortic place. Okay, aortic valve. Okay, and just in the opposite side you are going in the left side. So what is that? That is your tricuspid, that is your pulmonic valve. Okay, so these are just opposite, aortic and pulmonic. Okay, so pulmonic valve, and opposite to that in the right side is aortic, and here it's in the left, that is pulmonic. Okay, so that means what you're going to hear here, you are going to able to hear the S2 sound. What is that S2 sound? When aortic valve and the pulmonic valve is going to close. So that one is known as S2 sound. Okay, so you have to remember, from the angle of Louis, just come into the second intercostal space. So in the right side it is your aortic valve, and in the left side it is pulmonic valve. Okay, now just where you have ended your pulmonic valve, just come down to your fifth intercostal space. So as you all know, in the fifth intercostal space, just nearby your left sternal border, you are having your tricuspid valve. Okay, so just near this you can see the sternum, and feel your fourth intercostal space. This is your second intercostal. 1, 2, 3, 4. In the fifth intercostal space. Okay, as I told you, this was your first, second, third, fourth, fifth. So you are going to reach the fifth, and nearby the sternal area you will be having your tricuspid valve. Okay, so in the opposite side you are going to have the, again you are going to go into the left side, that is your mid clavicular line. Okay, so this is your clavicle. So in that mid clavicular line you have to come down, and here you will be able to feel the mitral valve. As I told you that this is the area where you will be able to find the mitral valve also, plus you are able to hear the apical sound also. Okay, so mitral and apical point is the same point where you are going to hear the maximal impulse of the patient. Okay, so that is how you are going to locate the areas. So I'll repeat once again. This is the angle of Louis. Just come down, second intercostal space. Okay, so in that you are going to reach to the right side, that is your aortic valve. Then in the other side you are having pulmonic valve, and just down the pulmonic valve, mid clavicularly you have to come, and just nearby the sternum region you are going to have your tricuspid area, and just mid clavicularly you have to go down and you have to reach the mitral valve. So that is your apical point where you have already palpated the pulse. Okay, so these are the locations of the, you can say, area. So now what you're going to do, now we are going to take the stethoscope so that we can assess the patient's abnormal sounds. Okay, so I already informed you that what are the normal sounds we are having in the heart, S1 and S2. S1 means lub. Lub means that is the closure of the atrioventricular valve. Okay, that is between your atrium and the ventricles. Okay, both sides. That is your first sound is tricuspid and mitral valve. Okay, then that is your lub. Then second is dub, that is your S2 sound. Okay, that is due to the closure of what? That is the closure of the aortic and the pulmonic valve, right? So when your aortic and pulmonic valve is closing, so that means you are having the dub. So together you are able to hear the lub dub, lub dub. Okay, so one more thing I wanted to tell you, that whenever you are going to have the S1 sound, okay, so S1 sound is due to the starting of systole. Okay, so what is systole? Systole means the contraction of the ventricles, where your ventricles is pushing the blood to your, like you can say, aorta and like a pulmonic valve, so that it should not like bring back the blood to the aorta, atrium, right? Then next is the S2 sound is what? S2 sound is coming when you are having your filling of the aortic and your pulmonic valve, so that the blood should not come again into the ventricle. So that is your S2 sound. Okay, so we have to listen these sounds in the every systole and the diastole. Okay, so what is systole? The contraction of the ventricles. Then diastole means when the ventricles are relaxed. Okay, when the blood is filling in that. Okay, so that we have to hear. Then again I want to tell you one thing, that there is one more like abnormal sounds of the heart, that is S3 and S4. So what is S3? S3 is usually like a normal in the like a young adults like us. What happens in that, when there is like extra like a sudden gush of the blood also, but ventricles are quite fine. They can contract and they can have the blood flow. But if you are able to see the S3 sound in the like older people, so that means your ventricles are getting extra blood or extra load. That means it is showing you the heart failure. Okay, so you have to remember S3 is never normal in the adult people. It can be normal in the children or it can be normal in the adult people, the early, like young adult people. Okay, not in the elderly adult. And S4 is always be the like abnormal sound of the heart, cause this represents the hypertension. Okay, so always you have to remember S1, S2, and then you will be able to hear the S3, which is very like a shorter time period, 0.01. Okay, so within like that you will be minutes, you will be able to hear like lub dub d. Lub dub d, like this you will be able to hear. Okay, then if you are able to hear the S4 sound, which will come just before the S1, so it will be like d dub lub, d dub lub. Okay, that is the S4 sound which is coming just before the S4. Okay, like S1. So that's all about the information regarding the abnormal sounds. So now we are going to move about the auscultation, how we have to perform the like cardiac system. Okay, so as I already told you, reach your angle of manubrium and just down second intercostal space. So where is the second intercostal space? In the right side. So what you're going to do, you're going to use the diaphragm of the like you can say stethoscope, and you're going to place it. Okay, so you're going to place it and you're going to listen to the sound. As I told you how you have to listen, you're going to listen to the sound from the like systolic and the diastolic phase both. Okay, that means you have to wait. Okay, and you're going to like make the patient to take deep breath, relax, and now you are going to hear the sound. You are going to tell the patient to hold, so that you can hear it very nicely. There should be no noise in the environment, because they are already very low like sound. Okay, you will not be able to hear properly if you are not like avoiding all the noises. Okay, so you are going to hear it like for a complete cycle. Like for systolic, you have to hear for S1, and then again you have to go for the S2 sound. Okay, both sounds you have to hear. It's not like that only one. Okay, then after that aortic, you can go for the pulmonic. So you know, in this like a second intercostal space only, when the like we are going to the left side, so that is your pulmonic area. Okay, so after when you heard this, so now you can go into the tricuspid area, which is just in nearby the like left intercostal space, and we are going to have the tricuspid area here. Okay, so we are going to hear the tricuspid area, and I want to tell you very important point, that when we are reaching the tricuspid and here in the mid clavicular, we are reaching the like you can say mitral valve. So these two valves are what? That is your S1 sound. Why S1? Because your atrioventricular valves are these, tricuspid and mitral, as you all know, right? So when they are closing, so what you have to remember here, that mostly the S1 sound will be louder where? The S1 sound will be louder at the like you can say apex of the heart. As you all know, apex of the heart is down and base of the heart is upper. Okay, so always this S1 sound is louder at the like you can say apex of the heart, cause tricuspid and mitral valve are down. right? So that you have to remember. And when you're assessing this aortic and pulmonic valve, so that time which sound will be louder? So it will be S2 sound will be louder. Why it will be louder? Because your aortic and pulmonic valve, when it is closing, so that time you are going to hear the S2. So that's why louder, like you can say lub will be in the apex and dub will be in the upper part of the heart. Okay, so you have to remember these things, and that's how you have to locate these areas. Okay, so now when you have auscultated that, now what you can do, you can look for the side to side angles. Okay, from this side you are able to see, and from other side you have to see. Why I'm telling you like this? Because due to the overactivity of the heart, like left ventricle or right ventricle, when they are doing very hard work, so what happens, due to that excessive hypertrophy, there will be some lift or heaves will be made. Now what is lift or heaves? Like a lift means you all know that it is just elevation of something. So here also some part of the heart, mostly in the left or right side, it will be elevated. Why? Because the patient will be having some abnormal, you can say, a size of the heart. So due to that, some elevation will be there. So it's very important to see the different angles of all the areas of aortic, pulmonic, tricuspid and mitral, so that we can have any kind of observation related to that. Okay, so next part of the heart we will be discussing in the next video. So I hope you understood up to now. Thank you.